Welcome to Morningstar Journal News. I am Matthew Detweiler. A big controversy in York County has been Heritage Tower for the last 10 years. It is located in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and owned by our employer here, Morningstar Ministries. Some people want it torn down. They call it an eyesore. Some people want it built. Other people don't care. They just want something to do with it or something done to it. And so last fall, Morningstar was actually planning on starting construction on it, but then something happened to where all progress was halted. And then today I have the founder and president of Morningstar Ministries, Rick Joyner, here to kind of explain the situation and tell us what's going on. So thank you for joining us.
Let me give you a little background about the tower. You know, we bought this entire property, and which was formerly Heritage USA, the Grand Hotel Conference Center, and we inherited this 21-story high-rise hotel, what was going to be a hotel, our timeshare units as a part of that. And, you know, the place was in terrible disrepair, took major renovation. And I had been told when we bought the territory that tower had been condemned. So if something is condemned, there's no going back. You
tear it down,
You
right?
got to tear it down. That was part of our plan.
Okay.
And one of our board members and leaders, the ministry at the time, Leonard Jones, kept pressing me to, no, we got to keep that tower. There's nothing wrong with that tower. And I'd explain to him, Leonard, it's been condemned. He'd go, I don't think so. We ought to check that out. So I finally was provoked to go and check it out and found out it had never been condemned.
Oh, wow.
We were, misinformed about that. And so that changed my thinking. And I said, well, is it possible to restore? We did an engineering study on it and found out it had been built way beyond code, way beyond the times, the engineering and construction of the times, and was in great shape. It just cosmetically looked bad because of the exterior, and that it was worth about $15 million.
And what year was that?
That was 2005, okay. 2006. We bought the property in 2004. So we set about to do it, got with the county, and they worked with us and decided this is a big project. They wanted to put it in a development plan. Don't want to get into all the details, but it's a big legal document. And we felt like they were on our side working with us, really wanting to get this done. And we were trusting them way too much, it turns out. We, in the development agreement, part of it was before, when we got to a certain point where we need certain permits issued, whatever, we had to put a bond up on it. And but that didn't come due until certain studies had been done and the county had signed off on certain things like water and sewer works, all these things have to be done. And there was in the development agreement, which is a legal agreement between us and the county, these things would all be done in sequence. Okay. Well, if once it came time for me to get a bond on that part of the construction, I had 6 months to do it. If I couldn't do it in 6 months, we've really proven we can't get it done, can't get it financed or whatever. So agreement's over.
Wow.
Well,
and a bond was basically like a loan. That's a loan, right, to do it?
Well, it's a coverage of your loan. Okay. It's where you get a financial entity to back up your loan, to guarantee it. It normally costs you like 1 or 2% of the loan. And but anyway, it's that's what most big construction progress have, bonds on certain levels of the construction. Well, there was a certain thing that had to be done, and then it would start the meter. The county had approved the site plan, the development plan. I knew I had 6 months from that point. They were supposed to notify me by registered mail. All this is in the development agreement. My address had to come to me, and then that starts the 6-month meter that we've got to get that bond. Okay. Well, all of a sudden, we get a notice from the county that we have defaulted and have not gotten the bond in the 6 months period of time that it was arranged. We said we never knew that time had started.
So you never got the mail that you were supposed to get, giving you that 6 months.
And it was proven later, even though that's in the agreement, that it would be sent to me by registered mail. Wow. This is the only way. This is what they came up with. When we pushed back and said, we never got that, show us where you sent that letter by registered mail. They couldn't show anything. No, there was no way. And obviously they hadn't done it. Then after us pushing back on that for a while, they finally said, well, we told this guy who works for one of your subcontractors that we had approved the site plan and to go tell you. They couldn't tell us what his name was or anything.
Wow.
It was like some helper with one of the construction subcontractors is supposed to come tell us your meter started, the site plan's been developed, but the agreement was specific. This is how you've got to do that. Well, we said, well, then remove this default notice from it. They wouldn't remove it.
And what year was this?
It's like 2008, maybe somewhere in there, after we had taken a year or so to really work on the site plan and development agreement. Okay. Well, anyway, that really got our attention because this is foul. I mean, this is a serious breach of trust of the whole contract and everything. Well, ended up, make a long story short, they would not renege. Then they started putting the word out publicly that we could not get financing for the project, so they were going to condemn it. They were basically going to do away with our site plan agreement. And it's true, we could not get financing because nobody's going to finance something with a default notice on it.
Right, yeah.
And we told them that over and over. We can get financing. That's easy. But not with the default notice. You remove your default notice, we'll get the finance, we'll get the bond done, and we'll get it done in a month probably. We don't need 6 months. Just remove your default notice. They wouldn't do it.
Wow.
So it got into, finally we had to sue the county. Then when it went to local county court, this is what shocked us more than anything. The judge removed that section of the contract that required them to give us notice by a certified letter.
He removed that part of the agreement.
Removed it. To me, This is a serious violation of basic. I mean, he should have been disbarred for doing something like that. Contracts,
that's illegal.
Our whole economic system is based on contracts, the value and the integrity of contracts. Mm-hmm. And once you lose that made the whole thing void. If that part's not, if a judge can just pull that out and say that part doesn't count, the whole thing's gone. What is the whole?
Because that's the whole reason you took the court was that certain section.
Exactly.
And he took all the evidence away.
And he took that away, so we had no case.
Wow.
Then we demanded a jury trial. He said, you can have a jury trial. And he picked almost all the other evidence we had and said, but you can't use this evidence.
Oh, my goodness.
So
and
we
that
knew
was a
there's
local judge.
This is a local York County judge. And when when you're going to fight the York County government in York County court, it's going to be tough, but we've never seen or heard of anything like this. Yeah. This is when we start thinking something is really vile. Something is behind this attempt to make us tear down the tower rather than finish it. That began the lawsuit with the county. And now it's gone on about 10 years. Finally, last year, the county brought in an outside attorney to handle this suit. We had suits in federal court and the state court that began in York County Court to handle that. And that attorney, it was his idea. He said, listen, the county spent a lot of money. It's costing you a lot of money. This is going to be dragged out for years in the courts. Let's just agree to dismiss this thing and go our separate ways, start all over again. We said, we'll do that. We would dismiss the county and state, court lawsuits, but we're not, we didn't dismiss the federal.
Okay.
They agreed, okay, so that frees us to go back and start the project again, to finish that tower. We got financing right away. The state of South Carolina got behind us, got approval for $72 million bond issue, even though it only probably cost about $50 to complete. Everything was smooth sailing. We had the best contractor, general contractor, who's built the biggest high-rise, all the biggest high-rise buildings in Charlotte and everything. We had them signed on as our main contractor. We had the best construction crews. Everything had fallen into place. And then all of a sudden you have, once you dismiss a lawsuit like we did jointly with the county, you've got a year, 365 days, when you can reinstate it by appealing to the court to reinstate it. But you have to do that by procedure. You have to notify the other party, give them at least 10 days, and you're supposed to discuss it and try to work things out so it doesn't have to go back to the court docket. They never gave us notice. At the end of the 365th day, so we would have not even 10 minutes to respond,
Wow.
to the suit. They pushed the button and to reignite that lawsuit.
And that was basically, you guys were already planning. You had plans to start construction on it and everything, right?
We were ready to go. We were within weeks of having crews out there going after it to finish it.
And then they basically almost kind of did the similar thing that they did before with
Stopped
going
everything.
totally against the agreement that you
Right.
guys had. Wow, that's incredible. And then I also heard at the county council meeting that the county spent like $330,000 in taxpayer money on all the legal fees and stuff too.
That's their legal fees. We got that through a FOIA request.
Okay.
It's more than that now, of course. It will be much, much more going forward. But yeah, $330,000, and almost nobody in the county seemed to know that. And what benefit is that to the county? This is what nobody can seem to get their head around. Journalists, lawyers, anybody. We've talked to a lot. Why doesn't the county want you to finish that building? What is their problem? And then even this week, something they have put themselves in real jeopardy, even personal jeopardy, of council members coming out and saying things like, we did not even go to the county for a single permit on that building. That came, one of the councilmen actually said that publicly recently as a reason why they stopped it last time. We've got clear records of every time we went to them seeking permits on that county and us getting rebuffed every time, them saying, we will not approve any permit for any work to be done on that county. Well, we went to them over and over, but for the construction and the inspections on the tower, the county told us, we don't have the expertise to do a building like that. So we both agreed we would work through, for our construction permits, everything, we would work through the International Code Council in Atlanta. So they come out publicly this week and say, we didn't come to them for any permits. That's a lie, outright lie. We will prove.
Wow.
And some other things. Another one of the councils, this is mind-boggling because this put him in personal jeopardy in this situation, came out and said that building, I'm not quoting him directly, but he basically said that structure's not sound. Well, he's not an engineer. He had not talked to any engineer who had investigated that building. We have engineering signed off by some of the best in the country that it is sound. And him with no expert, he's just saying publicly, and he's a public figure.
He's the elected leader that's saying that.
Being an elected leader, he put himself in serious jeopardy by doing. What is motivating them to do something like that?
So you guys have no idea. They haven't responded to any of your questions on why they're holding you guys back from building the tower.
No, except through our discovery when we were processing the lawsuits before we mutually dismissed it. In discovery, we found emails, unquestionable religious discrimination.
Oh, wow.
and them saying some of the most horrible things you could imagine. And we had all that, and that's why I think they wanted a mutual dismissal. We feel like win so big in court if this thing ever got to court.
Wow. That's not good. This is America, so you don't discriminate on somebody against religion, especially Christianity.
No, especially since there are state and federal laws called Arlupia laws that specifically prohibit any government entity from interfering with a religious organization's development of its own property. It's like those laws were written for us in this situation, and the state law is the penalties are far worse than the federal, but the federal's bad. That's religious discrimination, and they have violated it about as clearly as you possibly could.
Wow.
In this case, and that's what we're pushing them on. That we had in federal court, and the federal judge dismissed it, not because there wasn't merit to it, but they said the statute of limitations had run out. They said the statute of limitations, I think, was 5 years, and it was like 6 years. Well, they had continued to do it round up to months before that court thing, so we felt like the meter had never stopped running, that was not a case, and we think we'll win that on appeal in the Circuit Court of Appeals. But, now they've started the meter there all over again.
So have you heard any response since the council meeting on Monday night from any council members, or does it look like you guys are getting together and making any progress, or what does it look like moving forward?
There have been a couple of emails from our side to the council.
Okay.
One councilman did talk to one of our members here, not us, but said to tell us to expect some communication from them.
Okay.
And I think, sitting through that council meeting the other night, I was very impressed with those councilmen. I feel like there's a lot of really bad stuff being done, though, by the behind the scenes, by people in the county staff, maybe the county attorney or his office or something. Really bad stuff's being done. These councilmen are going to be accountable for that. Yeah. But they're letting it looks like, and that's their reputation in York County, to let the county lawyer run the county. Or the county manager, not the councilman. Well, we elected the councilman to run our county, not those guys. So that's why I was pushing that the other night, for them to do their job, and because they're going to be the ones who really get hurt by this. Mm-hmm. And
especially if they want to run again.
Yeah, and we don't want to do that to anybody. That's not our point here.
Right.
But we're not going to let this go on and be done to our people.
Yeah.
We have to fight for that. If we let this kind of religious discrimination happen here, well, we're in a position where we can fight it. But how many other little churches can't possibly fight this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that's one reason the Lord is causing this thing to be drug out, where the whole story needs to be told, needs to get out there in court. And even though I really want to get that project done as soon as possible, this truth needs to get out.
Yeah.
What was being done to us.
So you feel like the biggest blockade that's blocking you is religious discrimination, and I guess from your point of view, you probably view this more of a spiritual battle than kind of anything else with the tower?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think it's a constitutional issue. Religious freedom, religious issues. There's clearly state and federal laws have been broken, and some other things. As we dig down through our FOIA requests, we're finding some really potentially serious stuff going on the county, which, those councilmen, they all have other jobs. They have other things. They sit there, one night a week, and they try to process all the county's business. Stuff is being done, though, in the name of the county. They're going to be held responsible for.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a lot of information, and hopefully it'll give the viewers and a lot of people that had questions a lot more clarity and some understanding on what's going on. I guess you just want to share on once the tower gets built, what will it look like, or what's the main purpose for the tower for those that don't know?
Well, we believe it's supposed to be an active adult community, 55 plus, we call it a refirement center, not a retirement center, where people want to come and make their senior years their most fruitful years, their best years. We want to make it their best years. Our goal is to make that the best place on the planet to live. We believe it's going to take the whole community, but we've been attracting some of the best people, I believe, to our heritage courts, which is the first phase of this that we've already got 100 and some people living in now. And we think it's obeying the scripture to honor your fathers and mothers. Mm-hmm. The only scripture with a promise, and it's a commandment in the Old and New Testament. I said not the only scripture with a promise, the only commandment God gave with a promise. And that promise is that it would go well with you, and your days would be long on the earth or the land that the Lord's given to you. So if you want to go well with you, honor your fathers and mothers. And we want to honor our seniors by making their senior years their very best. And we already know, with the interest of people to live in this building, I believe before we get this one finished, we're going to be building a second one right away.
Okay.
Because of the demand. And we also have a model that we can help other churches and other ministries do this to help take care of their seniors, which is a major issue today. So, we have those, motives behind it too. But also we have to stand up to tyranny. I know you guys dug into that, the doctrine of lesser magistrates. And
Magdeburg Confession.
Yeah, and we really believe that you have to stand up to tyranny. Mm-hmm. You cannot cave to it. Jesus himself was so bold, he didn't hesitate to call the rulers of his nation hypocrites.
Mm-hmm. Snakes.
Over and over. Yeah, hypocrites was probably almost a compliment compared to some things he said. But he didn't hesitate to challenge them for the way they were behaving, and we have to do that. We still want to do it with respect, and we want to respect authority, respect our leaders, and pray for them and do everything we're called to do. But we also have to challenge them when they go awry.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today and sharing everything, and for standing up to tyranny and fighting for what's right. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you for watching Morningstar Journal News. Again, I am Matthew Detweiler, and if you know someone that needs more understanding on the tower, please share this video with them. And also, if you have not, please check out our website at morningstarjournal.com. We have a bunch of videos, news articles, as well as editorials on there. And we do everything from a biblical and prophetic perspective. Also, go on social media, follow us and like us on Facebook, Getter, and Twitter. And you can also subscribe and like our YouTube page and our Rumble page. So thank you again. God bless you, and God bless America.